श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम Hari Om to everybody. Today we received an email from a devotee. He is here. The question, very interesting question. In today's satsang you told that the onus of attaining the truth is on the seeker. If he is a sleeping soul, is it not the responsibility of Guru to awaken him and make him or her aware that she should become a seeker in the first place? As much as we say, how many more years should I wait? Is it not true that my Guru also awaits patiently for me to reach that stage? Yes, the onus is on us. Absolutely it is on us. Why? For all rest of the things, we plan, we do, we go. Everything we do is now. Only in the case of spirituality we say he should awaken us. No. He has already awakened us. Otherwise you and I will not be sitting before this. The only thing is, why we are not progressing, we have not paid their price for it. When we go to the bazaar, there is a price tag for every thing that we are going to buy. So here the price tag is exclusive. Due to reasons which are not in our control, we have not been able to exclusively dwell on God remembrance. Just like when we try to learn swimming or cycling, we struggle a lot. We may fall. We may get bruises. But with all that, we continue that, because the urge is there. Come what may, I will. And one fine morning I get the balance. The balance, I don't have to every day do it. The balance becomes a faster. Similarly, when we keep on trying it, that exclusiveness should be there initially. That is why so many disciplines we are passing through. In Papa's days, we have seen how often he went for solitude. So we have to devise some method by which this exclusiveness, the price tag, is paid. As soon as we start pursuing this mentally, so many thoughts come and take us away. So how to develop this exclusiveness? Everybody has right from morning till night. Various preoccupations are there. Suppose as soon as we get up in the morning, 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes, we try to watch our own mind. It's the toughest job. Because the moment we sit, as soon as we wake up, and the moment we sit, after chanting Ramnam for 2 or 3 seconds or so, suppose we just watch, you will find that thought taking us away. Every now and then we have to pull it back. You are only watching. By perseverance. So many days we have to practice. It is very difficult to detach the thought from the watcher. So when we try to do that, he says, the onus is on us. We have been awakened, there is no doubt about it. But it is not enough. Practicing 5 minutes or 10 minutes in the morning or evening, morning would be better. And once we get this, the watcher getting separated from the watcher, we get a glimpse. It becomes an experience, not a theory. And once we learn the technique by ourselves, we may be able to stretch it whenever we are free from our preoccupation. Any moment, there is no specified. But all that we need is to become aware of the presence of the watcher in us. We can plead, we can pray, we can appeal, we can cry, we can weep, We can give a palm to the watcher and catch hold of his feet and pray to him. Don't move away. So some exclusiveness means we don't say that we have to move away from the place where we are. If that is necessary, God will facilitate us that also. What is more important is wherever we are, we try with all the limitations we have to somehow feel the presence of the watcher in us. The watcher is the real you, the self-immortal. Papa used to say that word. Be a witness to all movements. Detach yourself from them and become the observer of them. Then you will realize that you are the eternal witness and the body is not yourself. Who is observing? Let us try to find out. Sit silent, detach yourself from the mind and watch its activities. The watcher is the real you, the self-immortal. We have read this, umpteen number of times we have read. But we have to try, Then we will get the idea. Oh, the onus is on us. We have to do it. He is simply watching from inside. Just like he allows us to do so many things, this also he gives us a long rope. And the moment we pay that price, we become. what is expected of us. We will again read that article because it is very, very nice. And it has been instrumental in kindling, Radiant Atman. This morning, I shared something with you that came to me from across the Ganga. Yesterday afternoon, a holy man was admonishing gathered seekers and devotees at Vargashram, and as it was otherwise quiet, I could hear what he was saying over the loudspeaker. He was telling them that all individual souls who are striving to attain the good life, striving for self-realization, which is the purpose of human birth, it is better, early or late, that they should know one truth very, very, very clearly, and it is this: no one can give salvation to any individual except that individual himself or to herself. We may go to places of pilgrims, we may go to Mahatmas, we would have gone through Shastras. They are all helpful to some extent. But the real, when I go to the temple, the symbolic significance of the all-pervading reality through that form. And when I start contemplating upon it, how many people from different parts of the country or the world are drawn towards you. Why don't you make me, you have also drawn me here. Why don't you make me aware of your presence inside? First I should know you are inside. Then I will be able to understand you are also outside. Suppose we do that. And if our prayer becomes sincere, same case applies when we go to Mahatma. Suppose we don't do this. Outwardly, we are going to the temple, we are going to Mahatmas and coming back. That means we are not doing it with that sincerity. So the onus, the responsibility is on us to eke out the maximum benefit from such efforts. That is why he says no one can give salvation to any individual except that individual himself or herself. He was saying, you have to work for liberation from sorrow and the attainment of bliss. No one can give it to you. You obtain it by your own effort. In spite of all that has been said about Guru's grace, divine kripa, miracles, nevertheless, the truth is, the supreme state of blessedness is something you can give to yourself. No one else can give it to you. It's a blunt truth, He went on to elaborate. What is it that makes it so specific that it is the seeking soul that must ultimately grant to itself whatever it wishes to attain? Abundant divine grace of the Almighty is always available. It is never denied. It is ever available, but it will enter into your being and transform you only if you open yourself to it. That is why he said that nobody can give the salvation to anybody. It's a very important point for all of us. Unless we open ourselves, we cannot be satisfied anything less than that. Anything externally is not going to give us the answer. It may take us to some level, no doubt. Beyond that, no. But it will enter into your being and transform you only if you open yourself to it. If you do not open yourself to it, then there is no means by which grace can force itself into you. Try to do something against your wish, will and cooperation. our openness, receptivity. Coming to the practical aspect in the life of the seeker, he went on, what is it that enables the seeker to attain grace? What is it that prevents one from attaining grace? You will attain grace if you always place yourself in front of the Lord. If you want grace, you must face the divine. You must place yourself in the presence of the divine. You must lift up your face and look at the divine. As long as your attention is diverted to other things, to that extent, it is you yourself who deprive yourself of His grace, not He. His grace is abundantly present at all times to all beings. We were reading a few portions from the Divine Mother, where one day Mataji was telling somebody was playing the tabla. And then Mataji bluntly said, you are sitting here and thinking about why other accompaniments are not there. So you are yourself missing the chance, So when we go to a bhajan hall or any program at any place, if we are not receptive, we will be sitting there physically. Something we will be hearing, but we are not absorbing. We are not receptive. So who should take the lead? The sense of individuality must take the initiative. God is giving us a long rope. That's why He said, as long as your attention is diverted to other things, to that extent, it is you yourself who deprive yourself of His grace. That means total application of the mind on the theme is a must. So when we offer our prayers, whole soul, we should go along with the words, along with the theme. Bring before our mind, our Ishta, our Guru. Pray to Him. Plead, cry, weep. These are all some of the ways by which this exclusiveness can be had. Then again, to make it more clear, he then gave two examples. One is a number of earthen pots are left outside during the rainy season. Here it is very heavily raining. So we can easily find out. 3 pots we can take. I don't know, I cannot show it. Tomorrow the pots are also there here. It can be demonstrated. Some face upward toward the sky, some are on their side, some are upside down. When the rain falls, only those spots that are upright, open to the sky, will be fully filled. In the same open space and rain, those on their side will be partially filled. Those that are upside down will receive nothing. So every one of us will now check up. They are all that part. What sort of position we place ourselves. The grace is pouring. Whether we are open to that, or side, or ulta. He gave another analogy. On a day when the sun is shining brightly, if you open all the doors and shutters, your house will be brilliantly lit up, illumined. But if you close the doors and shutters, sunlight may be everywhere else, but the inside of your house will be in darkness. In this way, it is only you who can give liberation to yourself, not anyone else. Because it depends upon whether or not you recognize this truth. If we expose ourselves to God, God pours into us, blesses us, makes our life divine. If we are not ever in a state of being exposed to divinity, then naturally our life will be denied divinity, peace, bliss and life. He said the onus, the main responsibility is on the seeking soul and not upon God. God did not want to lay the responsibility of granting liberation upon God. To whom he can give? Therefore you must face the fact that it is you who can give liberation to yourself. For God's grace that grants liberation is always available. It is never denied, never withheld. This is the truth. Chidanji Maharaj quotes us, this is the truth. I am thankful I have been able to share this with you for your sincere reflection. This is very important. Question raised is very, very relevant. All of us have to deeply ponder over. We are not sleeping souls. We are awakened souls, no doubt. Even the question came because if we are applying, we have been blessed to apply our mind on these lines. How am I to know your presence? This craving. Awakening has taken place. And we are moving towards it, no doubt. But it has to become a little more faster. So, let us all pray to Him. He is seated with Him. You cannot be indifferent to us. You can say that. I want to feel your presence. Intellectually, everything has been convinced. I'm convinced about it. Intellectually. But experientially, I want. So that is why the something comes to us that we should spend about 5 minutes or 10 minutes in the morning as soon as we get up from the bed, or just before that. We get up a little more early in the morning. And then, first we chant 1 or 2 or 3 times Nam or any other Nama which we are comfortable. And then we watch. We try to watch. Then it is done steadfastly. He is seated within, untouched, unaffected, but he will definitely make a move. Because we are trying, the thought is the one which prevents us from knowing His presence. So when an effort is made to watch the thought, the sense of individuality submits. That is another way of telling. Watching the thought means the sense of individuality submits itself to Him who is behind everything. And any type of prayer. But mind will not. The moment we sit, first one thought will come, you become aware of the thought, then the thought takes you. Again you have to bring it back. Next thought. So that process will give some more clues how to refine that process. Papa says, who is observing silence? You ask this question. Many rules have to be observed for control of mind. Observance of silence is one of them. Who is observing silence? Let us try to find out. Sit silent, detach yourself from the mind, watch its activity. So whatever is the real you, self-ignorance. When the mind has worries, you say, I have worries. What is the dynamics of the mind? When the detachment from it is perfect, the mind disappears. You will be in a state of perfect bliss. So this is one suggestion Papa has given to us. It can be in any form. Even Ramnam chanting, when we close our eyes and chant, the chanting can be witnessed. The chanting can be heard. Like that, we will develop some system. But the initiative should be from us. Absolutely from us. Because we have not handed over anything to him. So he doesn't bother, he doesn't make any complaint. He sits there. So let us all do that through so many methods, Watching the thoughts early in the morning, chanting and watching the chanting, hearing the chanting. And when we are successful to some extent in the morning, early in the morning, then we will find, whenever there is a pause moment in all our activities, right from the moment we get up till we retire to bed, we will try to use the same methodology. This is something we should deeply ponder. So for the past 10-15 days, Papa has been hammering this truth that God, Guru and Self are one, and God is within. Guru is within. And today, by prompting the devotee to raise this point, he is clarifying it again. Yes, you should do your job. You have been given this. Just like you have been given various other responsibilities at the family level, professional level, social level, personal level, this is also given to you. Wherever you excel, you are happy, others are happy. Similarly, when you excel here, you will be happy. So this exclusiveness, price tag. Exclusiveness means when we watch the thoughts, no other thoughts will not take us away. At the moment, thoughts take us away from the source of all sources. With this background, if you go back to the interest of God, we will find every now and then Papa resorting to solitude and silence. Every now and then. Starting from Tiruvannamalai, 21 days. To get this exclusiveness. And we all know at the end of 21st day how it's revealed. Yesterday somewhere he said, waiting for the revealment. God is waiting for that revealment. The moment they remove the curtain, he comes out. But I have to remove the curtain. I cannot say you remove the curtain and come out. I have to. The curtain is my thought. So by Ramnam chanting, we are trying to remove the veil of ignorance. He is there. So let us all wholeheartedly try for this. Somewhere we should make a beginning. All outer things, let it go on. We need not stop. Let it go. It won't be in vain. It won't go as waste. But more importance should be given for inward joy. The other one will give us some fleeting joy, no doubt. But it will not take us to the goal. It has not taken us at all to the goal. Yesterday, many times Papa said, even that small letter, staying for a longer period with the Guru will not help you. Because all those prevent us from going within. Anything, if we are attached to the, word, in our march towards the goal, every experience of our life, pleasant or unpleasant, has to be utilized to the fullest in the task of rending the veil of Maya that clouds our vision. Worship and adoration to the external may help us, but they hinder us as well if we cling to them. Earnest seekers after truth outgrow them, and they have to, if they want to discover truth within themselves. Discovery within alone can bring us real freedom and joy. It is very, very clear. That's why, Vinobaji at one time, a beautiful book has been brought out, somebody was trying to call out silence. Because he was trying to maintain this even when he was carrying on with the activity. He was very much with the activity. But at the same time, he got stabilized in this. So he says that even when we try to go within, our outer Guru may be a hindrance. Remembrance of an outer. So everything we have to do. That would be better. So not that, belittling the importance of the Guru, but it immediately, suppose we start thinking about, we want to go inside, we want to see the source of our sources, where from the thought emanates. Suppose we devise that method, or when we are keeping chanting Ram Nam, closing our eyes, we are just sharing it, where from the Nama comes, who is making us to chant. Like that when we try to go, if any other thought comes, then what happens? Naturally it will get hampered. Anything external, let's say Papa put it beautifully, is that everything, earnest seekers after truth outgrow them. Worship and adoration of the external may help us, but they hinder us as well. Guru is only he who points out to us the way to this truth, which is awaiting revealment within us. The moment we reach it, our life is set free, we attain eternal happiness. So discovery within alone brings us real freedom and joy. There is no shortcut, absolutely no shortcut. So let us all pray and, suiting to our own taste, temperament, limitations, let us try to develop some method by which we move closer to Him, so that we become aware of His presence. Tomorrow we will take something else on these lines. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram. Hari Om. Hari Om to everybody.